Colón landed right there, 1501, 17 days. And when he got here to these lands, right, he met a lot of indigenous people. And his first thought about the land, it was that I found a rich coast. Encontré una Costa Rica. So, Costa Rica nowadays. Exactly. He thought that he found that because he saw indigenous people wearing gold and jade as jewelry. So, well, I don't blame him because I probably will think the same if you old guys get to the bus with jade and gold, where you know, like, oh wow, yeah, there we go. These guys are rich with this in these lands, right? But it was a misunderstanding. Costa Rica did not have gold and jade in the land. Costa Rica didn't exist in Central America, right? We are the newest lands of Central America, even more back then. Imagine, right? We started to find gold like in the beginnings of 19th century in Costa Rica. Imagine, right? But well, we did get gold and jade due to people, indigenous people who came from North and South America, establishing Costa Rica. They were the first owners, and then they were like trading to cross by with people. Like if you want to cross by, you gotta give something in change to cross on my lands, right? So either jade, gold, tools, fruits, right? Stuff like that. It was spread out throughout these areas. We became like a biological bridge, not just for animals, either people, right? Indigenous people in that time. But well, due to that misunderstanding, after the conquering and all this later on, right, we changed the name to they did change the name to Costa Rica, right? That's why we are Costa Rica, mainly Spanish language. Oh well. So what's going on? Oh, the traffic jam in the jungle. We didn't expect that, right? Welcome. We didn't tell you that, but it happens everywhere. Yeah, what happened is that here is the hospital of Limón. See, hospital of Limón, so they get to be quite busy. It's not that much right now, actually, but yes, that's pretty much the reason. And of course, we are in the big bus. Okay, well, once we're done, amigos, with the train, and we end up to nowhere, in a place there, like, we're in the train. It's gonna be a little hard to me to speak to everybody, so I'm gonna be like walking once in a while there. If you have any questions, just raise your hand and I will be there more than pleased to help you out. If I do not know the answer, I will lie to you. But well, through that excursion on the train, we're gonna be like looking a little bit of rainforest. There's gonna be places where we can even see squatters. Like there are even people who are not like poor. There are people who just take the lands to do kind of nice building there for the weekends and stuff like that, but they're still called squatters, right? They're taking the land there, and it's not the government, because don't need it, it's probably not doing nothing about it, but we don't know if whenever they need it, if they will do. People who survive on cocoa, right, coconuts and stuff like that. Limón is involved on Africa River mills, so there's a lot of milk, coconut milk, that it's base of the mills in Costa Rica, right? So that's a lot of people works on that. They just tearing apart the coconut and selling it to the restaurants and stuff like that. That's the thing. So you will see a lot of that. Of course, we're gonna go through a little more infrastructure town, right, where other people will work. Maybe not poor. They're not poor, but at least kind of low. The social class, middle class, a little bit of middle and low social class. Then some banana plantations, right? So that's something. Even at the train, we could see animals. We don't know, right? And of course, amigos, once the train, remember, like I said, is not like last version of cars nowadays. So it's kind of tough when it starts moving before stopping. So we gotta be seating with when this happens, right? Because it's gonna be a little bit wet because of the rain, and it could be slippery. So let's avoid that. Sometimes people like to ask me which side is better. Guys, it's just a matter of luck, right? Animals could be in the right side. It happened to me twice that I said, oh, go to the left, and then animals starts pumping at the right. So it's like, well, it's same, right? Animals could be everywhere. If you like to see more ocean, more forest in the right side, more forest in the left side, but still, right? So it's a nice ride. And what else about the tour? Yeah, well, once we're done, once we make it there, Jose is gonna be waiting for us, right? In the other side. Yeah, Jose. Yeah, Jose. No. Jose. No, Jose. And then we have a little stop at the souvenir, right, on the way back, right? There is this little stop over there. At the same place, now they're giving you a little walk of around 50 minutes to join me. Of course, the ones who do not want to do it, you can stay at the souvenir. But let's say that we're doing around 15-20 minutes walk and another 25 minutes souvenir. So it's about 50 total minutes in there. And from there on, we're just like 15 minutes away from the boat. Right? So souvenir is very close to the boat. So we'll be back, and hopefully the boat's still there. If not, you can stay in Costa Rica. Barbecue in Michael's house over there. That would be great. Well, amigos, if we're gonna go on story, because we're doing the train, and over there, I can't tell you the whole stories about it. It will not even give us enough time, but I'll give you a slice of the cake, right? So, who conquers Costa Rica? Spain people came due to Christopher Columbus' misunderstanding, right? Two years later, and they started to conquer Costa Rica. How long it took them to conquer Costa Rica? How many years? A lot. 99 years to conquer Costa Rica. People think that 1 year, 2, 3 years. No, 99 years. The Atlantic, they couldn't deal with the weather conditions. The indigenous people constantly attacking these people. Mountain range and everything, so they ran away. One was killed actually, and then the main story started in Pacific side of Costa Rica. It is flatter than Atlantic, right? So that's why they started to conquer Costa Rica from Pacific, and then they stopped. There was a gap of 35 years, more or less, right? That no conquerors came, because they made it to the Central Valley, but on the other side, they didn't cross the mountain range, right? And they stopped because the last portion of indigenous people were hiding in Atlantic, right? In here where we are, pretty much, right? And they couldn't go there because they didn't know how to go through the mountain range. And the indigenous people in this area were called the bravest, the strongest, right? Indios bravos, because they were very strong, right? They got the advantage of the terrain and all that. But in this gap of 35 years, indigenous people got weaker because the main factor of conquering, it was disease. Yellow fever, malaria, smallpox, all this was brought to Costa Rica, and that was new for indigenous people. They didn't know how to treat it back then. So, and of course, slavery and killing, but the strongest factor was disease. So the last who survived the conquering, it was 10,000 people out of 200,000 people, right? So the last 10,000 were established in Atlantic. After the 35 years gap, Spain brought guns and horses and stuff like that to go through, and they catch their leader, right? They didn't kill them all, they catch their leader, which is nowadays our first national hero. He was killed, he was murdered in front of the rest of the people, and they gave up, right? That's why Costa Rica were conquered by Spain, and we started to be mainly Spanish language, give you a little shortage version of 99 Years. Oh well, of course we like to be different. We can speak like Spain, right? We can speak like Spain. We have our own dialect, slangs, and everything, right? Pura vida, it's one, right? They don't use that, they don't even know. I mean, they know what is it if they have traveled to Costa Rica, right? We like to say tico time. That's another one that I can explain you a little bit. And we produce a lot the R. That's something that makes us Costa Ricans too. It says Costarricense, Costa Rica, Rico, Carro. Right? We play the X. Yes. They teach you so well Spanish at school to pronounce the R with the tongue, not with the lips. That's what happened. Like most people pronounce it with the lips, and then they teach you with the tongue, and we get to overroll it after that. Right? We get too good at it that we overroll it. So then Spains or Mexicans or Puerto Ricans or stuff like that, they get to, I mean, it's funny for them because we say it too much, right? We say it too much, yeah. Exactly, too much on, right? I don't really hear myself, I have to pay attention to really listen myself rolling it too much. For me, it's like normal, and there's laughing something, I was like, what's going on, right? Why are you laughing, right? And it's because I'm rolling it. Yes?
Are the wide leaf plants, banana trees?
White?
Wide.
Wide. There we go. Yes, that's a species of banana, but it's not the one that you guys eat. Like, it's not Cavendish, right? Cavendish is a species of banana that we cultivate, or that you will see in bigger plantations with chiquita, dole, and all of it. Huh? Okay, amigos, we're going to wait because it seems that they, even Jose already spotted, they found a sloth. There's a sloth. It's further there, of course. It will not move, so we're going to wait. Yeah, we're going to wait, no problem. Right? Yeah. Of course it's raining, so all you will get to see is like a nest. Like he's in a fetal position, like he tuck in, right? He's covered to try to keep himself warm, right? Exactly. It's like dogs when they're cold. It's the same, right? Yeah, let's see. This is the outline. Maybe the ones already at that side. Can you see that kind of skinny white tree in this? Like in front of you, sticking out of it. He's like leaning all the way towards the road. There are two on that white tree. Their leaf looks like in a hand, or like a little umbrella, right? It says in this one, these white trees, you will see it all the way up there. Take a look at that. There's two actually. It looks like a nest. Right over there. There's two. There's three white trees there. So they're all right over there in that tree. Yeah. There's one more to the right, and there is one more in the middle.
What are they?
Sloths.
Yeah. Of course, they're just like a nest right now, right? That's what they. Maybe the one in the right, you still see a little bit of the face. The one on the right. Yeah, but they're all the way up there. Yeah.
Are you seeing them?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're right
There
there.
are most of the time in treetops, right?
With your phone.
Sometimes the better pick is to watch it, right?
It's hard because they're way up there.
Of course, they can sleep for up to 10 to 15 hours, right? At the wild, right? But they already know that in the rescue centers, they have sleep 20 hours, right? So it is something about like survival, right? If they don't really need it and they're feeding well and they're not worrying about predators and stuff like that, they can sleep more, right? Yeah, so it's like if they don't, they are okay, they just sleep 10 to 12, 13 hours.
I got one. I couldn't get this.
So we just got two species. If I always like to say that my brother is a 5-finger sloth. It's lazy perezosa. We call it perezoso. Perezosos means lazy. Right? Perezosos. So we just are perezosos. Right? Or perezosa if it's a girl. Right? But well, amigos, the R, the pura vida, and tico y tica. Have you ever heard that? That's from us. I mean, there are other countries that use it, maybe similar, but slightly different, right? So, we like to talk in a diminutive way. It's like a gentle way to speak, or a cute way to speak, right? So we says, for example, we add this tico, D-I-C-O, or D-I-C-A. It's like an additive on words, right? So that's a slang there. And we says, for example, un momento. You know, un momento, por favor, right? So we says, un momentico, por favor. Right? Un momentico. Yes, it's like we'd like to be more gentle there. It's like, un momentico, por favor. Right? No, un momento.
They're curled up in a ball.
Momentico. Right? So let's say a little bit of sugar. So he says un poco,
They're
or
curled
in
up like
Spanish
this.
proper way,
Hold
un
on to the
poco
trees so
de
they can hide from the
azúcar.
rain.
We like to say un poquitico de azúcar, por favor.
Maybe we'll see some
Right?
more.
So it's just a little bit of sugar, un poquitico. Un poquitico. How much sugar? Un poquitico. Right? So that's one. Two. Let's say somebody little, or we says chiquitica or chiquitico, if it's boy or girl, right over there, right? Chiquitico, chiquitica. A little cat, gatito, gatica. So then, when you get to hear Costa Rican speaking or interacting, it's like momentico, chiquitico, poquitico, gatico, right? So it's tico, tica, tico, tica, tico, tica, right? All the time. So that's why we're kind of proud of it, and we say that we are 100% ticos y ticos, right? That's what you hear at the soccer game from us. Like we're ticos, 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 right? You probably heard it before when we play against you, but you thought that we were saying something back to you. No, we were yelling the Costa Rican name, right? So it was pura vida, ticos 100%. Right? Other countries use something similar, but they use double T, like tito, like poquitito, right? It says poquitico, right? T-I-C-O, right? That's slightly different. And now that it says this difference between tito and tico, amigos, for the non-speaking Spanish, or for the ones that still having problems or struggling with this, be careful with pura vida. I don't want you to be the person from my tour saying P-U-T-A. That's a bad word. See? So you're going to say P-U-R-A. Pura. Pura vida. Exactly. Not P-U-T-A. Right? That's in a different occasion.
Say that all the
right? Yeah. Amigos, over here, Jose's giving us a little landscape of the main harbor or port of Atlantic side, Costa Rica. It's actually supposed to be the most efficiency nowadays in Central America. They just made it around no more than 10 years ago. Right, it was open officially. Right, it's called APM. It used to be back there, like the ones that you just land. Sometimes they use it for like cars or stuff like that, but it's rarely used nowadays. Over here is where you see all of the materials, importation and exportations going on. 96% of it happening in that place. They have the capacity for around 3,000 to 4,000 containers per day. They work 365 days, 24/7. Right? So you get to see the huge cargo things coming in there. They're actually thinking on expanding even more. So they'll get bigger. So all of the exportations happens in this side because it's closer, right? So, infrastructure, bananas, agriculture, a lot of stuff we can export. And either import, yes, we export even rice, beans, stuff like that. Well, what do you think about that? Tourism, amigos, it is is the second best income of Costa Rica, right? So it is top one if we talk about, or one of the tops if we talk about employment, right? Another top is actually banana. Banana is another good income for Costa Rica, and employment too, because there's a lot of banana plantation there. We a little bit more than 100,000 acres, right? And there is at least one person who works for every acre in there, right? So that's a lot. Directly, indirectly, it's like 100,000 people who works with bananas. But the top income for Costa Rica, right? For the government, right? It's actually technology. We do have companies like Intel doing microchips. We have other like tree companies doing medical equipment in general, orthopedics, stuff like that. So education is something very strong in Costa Rica, and there is a lot of professionalism nowadays. Right? So that's top income in Costa Rica. Yeah. Oh well. Now you know. Now you are a little bit of Costa Ricans now, right? You're becoming a Costa Ricans, right? But the one that you need to remember at least is Pura Vida. That's the one that, guys, to say that you were in Costa Rica, you need to remember once you're back home, right? It's like, yeah, were you in Costa Rica? Yes, Pura Vida. That's the one. Remember that. Okay. But well. The weather is so perfect for cafe. I didn't have my coffee. I didn't have my coffee in the morning. I actually slept. I drove early in the morning over here at 3 a.m. And then I got here around 5, and I was like, no, it's too 4 something. It's too early to have coffee. You're gonna have a little siesta of 30 minutes. I woke up at 10 past 6. 3 people coming. That's why there were some of you already here. And I wasn't. I started to run over there. But well, café, amigos. What saved Costa Rica after we were conquered? What happened with Costa Rica? They figured out that Costa Rica was the poorest land of Central America. So we can literally say 99 years for nothing, right? So of course they poached with what it was there already brought to Costa Rica, but it was not from our land, so they thought that it was from our land, right? But well, when they figured out that no more jade or gold to poach, what do we do now, right? Nothing. So what really saved Costa Rica and made what it is nowadays, it made what Costa Rica it is nowadays, cafe. Cafecito. From where is originally coffee? Who knows? Who's a real, from where is coffee originally from? That's a good one. We even have ferns there that looks like plastic, and who says that it's made in China? Because everything is made in China, right? So café, amigos, it's actually from Africa. Oh, you said it there? There you go. Africa, right? It's Africa where they found Arabica coffee. Costa Rica has coffee family, or you can find it in the rainforest, but it's not that species that we like, the species that we drink. So Rubiaceae is the family of the coffee, and it is one of the big families out there. But coffee got to Costa Rica, like the first paper found that talk about coffee, it was like in the end of 17th century. So it's like starting 18th century, we started to get coffee in Costa Rica, right? So they found coffee over there because Chaplains were the ones who found it. So far, that's what the story says, right? They saw goats eating berries, and goats started to get crazy, right? Goats were so active over there. It's like exactly there was something going on because every time that they eat this, they get so active. So active. Yeah. So they actually took some berries, brought it back to the monastery, and they tried it, and they felt the same. Right? They felt energetic, and they called this a devil fruit. Yeah, why a fruit is giving you this, right? So they exactly right. So back then, when you didn't understand something, people used to say this is bad, right? This is evil, right, or something. So they really try to burn it. They throw it to the fire. What happened after that? The smell of roasted coffee. Exactly. So then the smell started to come out of the berries, and they got even more interested, right? Other chapter started to investigate this and everything, and apparently coffee back then was baptized by these chapters to make it like now it is not evil, right? Now we can take it or eat it or drink it, right? So that was how coffee was discovered, and then coffee was kind of exotic plants in European lands and so all those areas. So coffee got to Martinica, Caribbean seas, due to a guy that he was a captain from a boat. He was oh my bad, he was French. Yeah, he was a French guy from a boat that he asked for a king, okay, that had coffee in his exotic garden, botanical garden at the kingdom, but he didn't give it to this captain. He says no. Right, so he stole it. He stole it, and due to a guy who stole the coffee, he ran to the Martinica areas, Caribbean seas, and he spread it out. Right, 2-3 years later, there were coffee all over. Right, so then due to this guy, we started to have coffee in the Caribbean seas. Right, and coffee got to Costa Rica like in the beginnings of 18th century. Oh well. What happened when Costa Rica got coffee? When we started to get coffee, so we started to produce it. Already people knew how to produce it, what type of product it was, and everything. But coffee got better in Costa Rica due to the mountain range, precipitations, elevations, volcanic soils, and everything. Guys, all of the fruits, not just coffee, all of the fruits, bananas. Not originally from Costa Rica. Pineapple, South America, right? All mango, all of it is not native from Costa Rica. What happened is that when they brought it, they got better, right? And they taste exactly, right? They got better, and people love it. We're getting lost in the rainforest. Look at that. Swampy areas, forest, no people. We getting close, amigos. It's just like, let's say 5 minutes due to the road. Right? Yeah, due to the road. Yeah. But well, cafe, amigos, cafe, when we finally started producing, because that's a very long story, right? Costa Ricans were not even interested in coffee, because coffee used to take like 4 years to be ready. So farmers were not, we used to have cacao, corn, right, stuff like that, better agriculture, right? Why I'm going to produce a product that takes 4 years? Yeah, who's going to feed on me, right? So government or people in the power back then, they started to give free land whoever's plantates or cultivates coffee for 5 years. So people started to take their lands in the mountain range over there, like, I'm keeping it, like, and they were just cultivating coffee like all over, right? When coffee was out there, right, already, we started to spread it out in Costa Rica, and the very first place that we started to export coffee, it was Panama, part of Colombia lands nowadays, right? So Costa Rica was the first country who industrialized coffee from Europa, right? In Central America, right? what happened is that Costa Rica did not have a port in Atlantic. So we were not the first one who export coffee to European lands, right? Even Cuba started to export coffee before Costa Rica towards European lands. But some countries down there, they were taking even Costa Rican coffee, swapping it to a different bag, made it from Cuba or made it from everywhere, right? But it was Costa Rican coffee over there. Because Costa Rica was producing it a lot, right, for it. We started to export this like in the 1850s, something like that over there. We got a guy called William Leleshore, right? He was an English French guy, and he came not for coffee, but he saw the commercial of the coffee, right? So he offered himself to bring coffee to England. It's like, if guys, if you want, we can do a business. He was kind of smart though. He was very smart. We can do a business. I cannot pay you, but if you want, I know how to make it to England. The very first place that Costa Rica transport coffee to European lands or that side of the world, Inglaterra, right? And he says, I can bring the coffee towards Inglaterra, but I cannot pay you till I'm back. He was, very serious person. He came out of nowhere. He didn't know the people, and he was asking for free coffee. People cultivating coffee for 4 years, and even taking coffee from the mountain range towards Pacific coast. 3 days walking with carts and mules carrying the coffee. Right? So then someone just came and asked for free coffee. Right? So just one person, the bigger farmer in that moment, gave him coffee because he was not really just feeding on coffee. He gave him 500 kilos of coffee beans, right? He pretty much gave all of the production that he got in that moment. He was like, gain or lose, right? It works or not. And I'm sure that William was thinking the same, right? If I go there, if it works, I come back. If it don't, I stay. I don't know him, right? But well, after all, he took about like 3 or 4 months to get to England, all the way South America, and it was a boom, right? It was a boom. People love it, so he came back like 4 years, like 3-4 years later though, right? But he brought 4 more boats and their money, of course, right? And after that, Costa Rica economy was the best of the story so far, right? Because we didn't have international debt like nowadays, right? We were making money over there. So Costa Rica, in that time, we were like one of the first capitals of the world, like in New York, and I forgot which one over there. There's others that started to have light in their capital. So Costa Rica were one of those first capitals in the world, and that was like kind of high technology back then, right? We started to have cars, we started to have better streets, better cars, stuff like that. Like people wearing different clothing, people interested more on reading books, and stuff like that changed due just for coffee. So café was the first gold grain of Costa Rica, right? So our first real gold, it was coffee, right? Yeah. Nowadays, coffee is still good, but it's not as good income as used to be. Nowadays, it's all the products that I kind of mentioned over there. But even there is a product that it's almost equally to coffee, which is ornamental plants in Costa Rica, right? Ornamental plants selling from Costa Rica, ferns, shrubs, trees, all this, heliconias. It's as good as coffee nowadays, right? But yes, we are pretty much survived just for coffee, right? And we got the better development and all this happened. If not, I probably would be wearing loin clothes or something over here, right? Yeah, like Tarzan. Okay, amigos, we're actually ready. What happened is that there were 2 buses ahead of us, so they're unloading people and getting on the car. Once they're done, it will be our turn. Right? So the train is right behind these bushes, so that's why you didn't really see it. Costa Rica, amigos, like almost in the 19th century. It was like 1870s or something like that we started to have a project, right? And we got a loan from England to do the rail, right? And why did Costa Rica decide to make the rail? Because we were finding or needing a faster way to transport coffee towards Atlantic. We used to have a port just in Pacific, and the cost of coffee all the way down to England, it was very expensive. Of course, expensive back then, because expensive, we're talking 5 sterling pounds. Costa Rica used to have as currency sterling pounds, right? Nowadays it's different currency, which is colones, right? Christopher Columbus, Cristobal el Colón. So Colón is the name of our currency. So because we have a lot of zeros, it's colones in general, right? So I'm not sure if maybe Jose is the money guy. If he has some bills, we can try to show you some bills. We have a lot of zeros, 1,000, 2,000, but that's like $2, $4, right? So you're like, oh, 1,000 colones is wow, right? No, I'm not showing you $1,000 over here like that. So it's just a lot of zeros there. But 5 sterling pounds, and the first people who tried to go to Atlantic, they died, right? And when they finally made it to the coast of Atlantic, the cost of the coffee to make it all the way to England, it was less than 1 sterling pounds, right? So they were like, we need a way, we need to do something to make it to the Atlantic side over there, and that's why we started to have the project of the train, right, due to coffee. But that was a whole big story, and a lot of corruption, a lot still like all over. Costa Rica got, well, we're gonna make it a short story, which is we got 5 million sterling pounds from England. That was a loan from England, but not even like half, let's say just like around 3 or even less, not even like half, made it to Costa Rica. They don't know what happened with the money, right? So project was not done, it was not completed, it was not even 50% of the project completed, because they had some technical problems and stuff like that happens throughout the project, right? And money disappeared, right? So then Costa Rica was in a debt, and no project, no train. Of course, the guy who got this business or contract, right? He was doing railroads in South America, right? Henry Keats was the name of this guy, right? But then no more money to go on the project, so he left Costa Rica to keep going on the rail that he was doing over the Andes down there, right? And he just left a relative to Henry was the uncle of the guy who stays in Costa Rica, and they offer a new business, but that was a roundabout business, you know. They probably were the ones who stole the money, I don't know, right? Yeah, right. So the guy who stayed in Costa Rica, Minor Cooper Kit, right? They offer another option for Costa Ricans, because Costa Rica had no project, no money, right? So they said to Costa Ricans in the power in that moment that we can make the rail, we can complete it, because they have the backup of strong companies over there. But we'll need 99 years no tasks to finish the project and free land throughout. Once we complete the project, you can pay us later. But to finish the project, we need this. Land and 99 years no taxes. So because they were thinking on a different business, not for coffee, bananas. Minor Cooper Kit and Henry Makes, they brought bananas to Costa Rica. And they were doing train or the rails for bananas South America. So when they saw the opportunity of doing a project, they brought bananas to Costa Rica. And well, train was made for coffee, but the very first time that we started to use the train, It was to transport bananas. Coffee used to take longer time to be ready. So the project was not even done, and there were bananas already done over there, right? So he was very smart, because Costa Ricans thought that he was not, because he was asking, oh, free lands in Limón nowadays, right? So what was the best lands for Costa Ricans in that moment? Mountain range. They were interested in coffee. That was the only thing that they were interested in. So he's asking for free land, and he got quite a lot. You know, it was not just 1 acre, right? And it was like, yeah, well, he must be not too smart. He's getting swampy lands over there. The best for bananas. Bananas even need an amount of water to be as good as they are. And they already know, and it's an estimation of 30 liters of water per day. Guess what? Welcome to Costa Rica. All right. In Costa Rica they have even more than that, because you know how much rain we have a year sometimes of things. If you're thinking on inches, you're right. We go on feet or meters, right? So we're still making it around 4 to 5 meters. So that's like 12 feet or more, right? Yeah, we got sometimes 5, 6 still in some years. We got records in the 90s of 22, 23 feet of rain. So in the banana plantations here, they have to do ditches because there's too much water, right, to drain the water over there, right? So Minor Cooper Kid, he became one of the first Lord Lands of Costa Rica after people thought that they were not too smart. And he got so powerful that he got power on politics, right, in Costa Rica. Of course, when the train was totally done, amigos, Limón used to be a fancy town, because it used to be the only town that you get to find new things, new from Europe and from North America, from everywhere. So people used to come on the train. Even my dad used to do it. Right, he says that he used to come with my grandpa a week to sell orange, or people to sell stuff, eggs, chickens, or people coming with suits and stuff like that, going to Limón to visit it. Okay, amigos, bananas. Bananas, amigos, when they were brought by this person that we mentioned, Minor Cooper Kid, and he finally spread it out and everything. He did a company called Northern Railway, right? And he got already 99 years, no taxes and everything. So he went to North America, and they got a meeting with Boston Fruit Company. Right? Boston Fruit Company used to buy bananas throughout America, right? Central South America, and they have the commercial over there. But then Minor Cooper Kid, he have the production over there in South and Central America. So then they unified, and that's where this United Fruit Company shows up, right? That was the new name, the United Fruit Company. When we got United Fruit Company, amigos, it was not a right company, right? They did a lot of things, right? Not good things, like even killing people for getting lands, even we used to have cacao back in time, right? They even brought fungus to kill their production to buy the lands cheaper, right? So stuff like that. No healthcare system, a lot of things that even they got so strong. Remember I said Minor Cooper Kid, that they did what he could do possible in the politics on paper, right? On his side and everything, right? So workers, pregnancy girls, using chemics without protections and stuff like that. So Costa Rica used to be one of the, still over there, but we're getting better, because nowadays we do work on being green, but Costa Rica used to take a lot of pesticides, right? So these been changing a little bit, right? More on eco-friendly, right? Products that we got around there. But they used to have very strong products like the red brands that we test. For example, we got red, yellow, green, right? So red is the worst. So they used to have that with no protection, for people getting sick and stuff like that, and even dying, and no healthcare system back in the time. things changed, of course. United Fruit Company, they got their payback. They got problems with Rosario, right? Minor Cooper, Henry Maid, Minor Cooper, all these family dies due to cholera and all the yellow fevers and stuff like that. So their family didn't want to go on the business of bananas, and they sold it to Chiquita. See, Chiquita nowadays got what the United Fruit Company used to be, right over there. And Chiquita was the one who actually brought Cavendish, right? That was the one who brought Cavendish, and the method on putting on the box and treating it better and stuff like that, right? But yes, that was, of course, now they do need to follow up recycling stuff. For example, the plastics, right? They do have to recycle that to do other products and stuff like that. Chemics, apparently 90% of the chemics or products that they use are green, right? Or eco-friendly. It's still few though are not that green because they haven't found something better against Fusarium or something like that, right? That is a struggle. And why we have just cabbage? Because big companies like Chiquita and Dole, they're not producing the little ones that cannot deal with Fusarium, right? So they're not plantating 100,000 acres of this little species and impossible dies, right? There's a possibility that they get to die, right? So they're just producing cabbage. You get to find locals cultivating the other species, or even they become like little local companies, and they do sell it over there to nearby countries and stuff like that, right? Which is the little version. It's very sweet. You get to try it. Hopefully, right? Go for it. You will love it. We have a very little sweet bananas there. There's a lot of different varieties. Plantain, of course, is another variety that we have. But well, bananas, amigos. When we finally got that, nowadays, right? Nowadays, remember, it's the one that gives the best employment in Costa Rica, or one of the good employments in Costa Rica. Most of them, though, are not Costa Ricans. I'm not saying that there is not Costa Ricans, but most of them are not Costa Ricans, because in there it's where people who don't really have a background goes to work, right? They're selectors, cleaners, pickers, right? Stuff like that. Of course, we have labs, so there are even scientifics on this, right? So they get better payment. There is the administrations and stuff like that. They do get better payment. But when we talk about the wage, right? Most Costa Ricans do have a background, because it's something strong here is education, right? So they are Costa Ricans because they didn't find jobs or something. Like they do have a family to worry about, and they have to go, right? But most of them are Nicaraguans, right? The ones who work. Yeah, lowest wage established by government is actually $550, between $550 to $600 per month, right? In Costa. Which is not enough. That's an estimation of $1.50 per hour. And Costa Rica is one of the most expensive countries in Central America, right? So, and this haven't changed even before COVID. That everything in war and everything, that everything is way more expensive, right? So even gallon of gasoline over here, you get to find a price pretty much United States. Like, yeah, we have that, right? Yeah. You have the coffee and the you get the whole field there. You see all the way back. Yeah. It's funny because you see there is no fence, and there are there are people who do get some, people who we probably because there is no fence we don't even get it. Right? Exactly. If there is a fence, like you cannot, everybody will be like taking over the whole plantation there, right? But yeah, it's not enough because Costa Rica is the most expensive country. But doesn't mean that it's bad. Costa Rica has a lot of good things. That's why companies like Intel and all this, they are here because crime time is better. It's not the best, but it is better. So it's kind of balanced. Politics is getting better, right, and everything. Of course, we have a lot of taxes, and that's a good reason that we have tourism have made it a little bit more expensive for locals, right? So you don't see much locals visiting. But well, the thing is that even electricity and all this, it increasing and they earning the same. Right? Yes, you can. Costa Rica is one of the most visited countries in the world, with people that just retire after they retire, right? You can come, you can buy land, you can have a system, you can have all that in Costa Rica. Of course, it depends where you go. You find cheaper lands or lands as expensive as the United States, right? If you go to Pacific, that is a lot more touristic. You will find that over there. There is where you find condominiums, hotels, Miami style, let's say. Probably not similar, but let's call it like that. Here in Limón or Atlantic, in general, we do not have 5-star hotels, right? Tourism here is strong, but it's more like a lodge, rural, right? That is a different tourism over there. So exactly, right? And there, of course, there are people for everything, right? So what happens that they're still more expensive and probably it's not as pretty as here, but it's because there are fancy people who live in there, right? So everything gets to be expensive. Exactly, right? So over here it's not. So lands can be, like you can buy an acre around here maybe with around $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 dollars more or less, right? 1 acre, yeah.
Well, the interstate's rich.
Fine. Of course, depends on the house and everything too, but you can find a little half an acre, even shorter, shorter with a house in these areas. You can find it for $30,000 or $40,000 over there in the things out there. Of course, let's say not too small, not too big, right? Something good enough with maybe with a little backyard over there. But yes, you can find it like that. But yes, you go there, you can find crazy numbers too, right? Because a lot of areas are actually owned by tourism, right? Ranks, right? So they know the prices. They know the prices where you guys coming from. So it's like, this is too cheap. It's like, so from where you are, from New York, okay, different price. But from there, it's like that. Oh well, because where we going? In this banana, there's something that I will point it out, right? Because in the bananas is still a hard job, right? A hard job. People get paid with different ways. It's like contracts, sometimes per hour or per contract, right? So it depends on what they're doing. For example, each flower of the banana. Have you seen the bananas flowers? Okay, no, yes, okay. Some yes, some no. I'll try to point it out over there if we get to find one to show you the flowers. There are people who get paid by every flower they check, the more acres they get to check. So each plant that you saw there, it can have a plant or a flower. So they check that. They check the best flowers, the best good looking flowers since there are flowers, right? So a whole bunch of flowers it could be this high, and it can have more than 500 flowers. But just around 2 to 3 at most turns into bananas. So what happens is that even when they are growing, they get to take these off. Like the ugliest flowers and ugliest bananas that they're probably growing, but they're not good looking, they're too curvy, they're like this. So these ones, they take it off because it will take nutrients for the actual good looking bananas. Right? So even since there are flowers, one whole hand of bananas that you get to buy in the market, usually a real hand there, you can have around 30 flowers. But at the finally hand, it gets to be 5 or sometimes 8 or 9, right? But it's like half of what actually happens. Right? So it's because all the flowers, if they grow like that, they will be like our fingers, all everywhere, going everywhere, right? So there is a pattern that they follow, right? It's size and everything that they measure, and we export quality 1, 2, and 3. So those are the qualities that we actually export. One that used to do, right? They used to do that. There is the ones who check the flowers. There is the ones who select the quality. So if we just take out of Costa Rica the best bananas, and that's why we call quality 1, 2, 3. What is not chosen in these 3 qualities stays in Costa Rica, and then out of the non-selected, we take the best of the non-selected that stays in our markets. And we don't waste nothing though, right? Even that banana that was not chosen, not even for us, it goes to banana products, right? Companies that do banana products, like jerk or food or babies or a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff based on bananas, right? So even the skin of the banana is used in Costa Rica. And there is so many bananas because we cut bananas every single day. But bananas takes about 2 years to be ready. A little less than that, but yes. Say a year, 6 months, more or less, right? But we cut bananas every single day. So how do they do? How do they do this? It's simple. They grew up bananas, let's say a year ago, every day, or in different schedules. So they have production every single day nowadays, right? Because it's been there for years back then, right? But well, what is really interesting is that I realized till I became a tour guide that what we sell to you is what I'm been telling you, good-looking bananas, right? Because when I was a kid, I used to see the best banana was taken out of Costa Rica, quality. Oh yeah, there's choosing quality 1, 2, 3. So those bananas must be great, right? I was like, oh, those the best ones, right? But then I became a tour guide, and I noticed that you guys most of the time, or always, I would say always, says, what a delicious banana you have over here in Costa Rica, right? Or mango or pineapple, right? It's so sweet and delicious. So that really caught my attention because I was like, why? Right? I thought that yours were best because you were taking the best out of our selective process, right? And you see, pineapple, people love it always. And I was like, why? They choose and select and everything. So we do just choose good-looking bananas, right? So far, what we know, it's the process. Everything is taken pretty much green. And to make it possible to go to their destinations, it goes through containers that they control the ripening of the bananas, right? They use even something chemical there to ripening a little bit more the bananas once they get there. Yeah, yeah,
It's a gas.
yeah. Okay. Remember, coconuts nowadays here in Costa Rica, it's mainly for the coconut milk. Right, that's it. That's why you saw a lot of that over there. A lot of Afro-Caribbean meal going on in Limón mainly. So there's a lot of restaurants that they buy this. Right, you can even find cans, right, of coconut milk made in Costa Rica. So there's even local companies doing this. So these people there, that's what they're saying. They're doing, right? They're selling the coconuts. Nowadays we I do not remember the place, but the green coconut, we started to export this maybe around 5 years ago, but it's like something new. We do not export it to like European areas or North America, so we nearby countries over there. But the green one is for eating mainly and drink, right? And the jello and big one, it's actually, we got an ambulance. Jello and big one is mainly for the coconut milk, right? Okay. See, that's the way somebody needs that help. Oh well. Then, why is that? Okay, traveling, all these process is like a trade-off, right? To make it possible to get there and not be rotten, it loses the flavor. Right? The whole process, the last process that it goes through to make it there, it loses the flavor, right? That's why they haven't even changed the Cavendish, because they do have other varieties of bananas, but the taste is not the best as the Cavendish. That's supposed to be, this piece is supposed to be even strong against Fusarium level 4, but it's not just about being strong at level or about fungus, right? They need to, it's about taste, it's about a lot of stuff there, right? So it's a whole process, right? And they will not take out as a new hybrid unless that survives at least 15 years, right? If they make it, right? That's the idea, right? But well, then in Costa Rica, we just, I mean, it's not selected, it's not taken out of Costa Rica, but we just take it in the same day that it was cut or selected, right? And it goes directly to the markets, and they just ripen by itself, right over there. They can last more than a week to start getting ripening actually, and you buy Jello over there already, and at the house it lasts even a week sometimes, and they're already ripe, right? So that's why it still keeps the flavor. The same with mangoes, the same with pineapple. That's why you try the fruits and it's like delicious, right, for you, right? But well, I thought the yours were better, and I'm glad that I have tried the best already, right? So we got it in here. Right? So same, if you like to go there, at the outside of the same area where we're going, it's a little, another little building, right? And they do sell the bananas or some stuff over there. But if you want to try bananas, you can go there, right? To try it. In there, the worst banana job. And I'll point it out over there. But I like to explain it because there's always going to be people, and I'm not sure if everybody wants to hear me. These are the guys who carry the bananas. My dad job, actually, back then, right? These people, amigos, they go in the middle of the banana plantation. They make groups of 3 people, right? And they cut down the banana. This is the banana stem. They have this huge machete. You see these guys with a huge machete, and they kill the banana plant. They cut it. So the banana plant just makes one banana fruit. It can make there more, but for good-looking bananas. So one banana plant, one banana bunch. What happened is that banana is not a tree. The banana is, it's more like a herb. To give you a better understanding. Yes, right? The same root system of the banana, it can be there having babies forever. For how many years for good-looking bananas? 24 years. But what happened is that when this big stem and has the banana bunch, this is cut and killed, there is already 2 babies from the same group. They can have more than 2 babies, but they know that more than 2 babies, it will not be good-looking bananas. So it's all about nutrients. They even know how many leaves they need, 8 leaves, to do good photosynthesis. If not, it will not work, right? How many water, how many this, right? They know everything how to do that. So well, this banana, you can leave it there if you want, for in your backyard, and you will have bananas forever. Probably it's going to last a little longer because you're not following the same protocols, but yes, right? But for good-looking bananas, it's just one per plant, and it's cut. And then we just wait for the baby that it make it. So baby, when this one is killed, baby's already halfway, so they don't need to wait another year and 6 months. It's almost like every year or so, they're having bananas and bananas right over there. So they have their schedule of that, right? So that's why we pretty much cut bananas almost 7 days a week, right? Of course they need Sunday day off, right? So they take it out. But well, the worst or most difficult job is for the people who goes there in groups of 3, right? They cut the banana plant, they take the banana bunch, right? Each banana bunch of Cavendish, it's normally around 40 to 60 kilos. 40, it's around 85 pounds or 125 pounds. That's an average, right? There are records of 120 something kilos. So that's like 250 or 40 pounds, right? So imagine, right? They cut this, they catch the banana bunch in their shoulder, and then they run. They go as fast as possible, right? They're running, but you can't run with 100 pounds on your shoulder, right? So they go as fast as possible towards a rail or a cable that it's on there, built already, right? And it's a type of zip lining, right? They have a cable there. When he's already busy with one hand, he cannot let go of the banana, and he catch the pulley. He put it in there, and the pulley has a chain where they make a little loop with this, and they put the stem of the banana on the loop. So they use both hands because the stem of the banana, it's right behind his neck. So he did this, he put it inside, and then he just let it drop. And the chain holds the whole stem of the whole banana bunch, right? So that's one banana bunch. And he can run around 50 or 100 meters sometimes to do that, what I just mentioned. Right? That's one. He will go back for more and more, right? Till he sets 25 or even 30 bananas together. So he has like a bar that holds the pulleys, you know, like 3 feet away each other. He puts another pulley here with a bar in the middle, so they separate each banana, right? But that's on second, third, fourth, 25. So he goes 25 times or even 30 to hook in the bananas. Once he set these up, we call it a train of banana. It's like 2 buses long, right? So he's still in the middle of nowhere. He's still in a banana field, right? So he will go in front of the banana train, put a rope on the first pulley, attach it around his waist, and he start pulling the 25 banana bunch. He starts pulling because he's heavy, right? But then once the pulleys start running, do not stop. Pulleys already start running, and he start jogging as fast as possible. Because if you go too fast, they can drop the whole bananas too out of the rail, right? But they go run as fast as they can. They says that sometimes the rail do not change the elevation, but the terrains go up and down. And there's so sometimes you go down and you see when the banana is going up ahead of you, so you gotta hurry because the pulley's going faster, right? Yeah, so you gotta right to go faster there. Once he make it to the place, right, like where bananas is selected and chosen and everything clean and all this, there's an inspector who says, okay, which group? Group A, okay, Group A has 1 trip, 1 check. That means an estimation of $3 or $4, right? And they can run with the 25 banana bunch if they're close, around 10 to 15 minutes. If they're not close, around 30, 40 minutes with 25 banana in a bag, right? Carrying it over there. So then they make it and they go take the pulleys back, everything, because he's going for another trip. Because they get paid by trip. So good trips or good parties, they make around 10 to 12 trips in one day. There are records of people who makes around 16 trips in one day, right? Of course, there are people who runs 30, 40 minutes. They cannot make that much, but they will get a better payment due to the distance. I mean, better payment means the same as the one who makes 16 trips but shorter ones, right? So it will be pretty much the same payment after all, right? But they run a lot, right? You see these people, and they're very skinny. They're skinny. They look like hummingbirds, you know, colibris. They're running a lot, and they eat a lot, but they just burn too much calories, right? We don't like to play soccer games with these people, right? Because their cardio is insane, right? There's too fast. Local soccer game over here, no, we don't like that. But yeah, so that's a job that even these people says that if you get to survive the first week, you make it up. But most people in 1 week they give up. They say, nope, this is not for me. I'm out, right? So sometimes they do even. That means they sometimes do not even have lunch breaks because they want more time. I mean more payment. They just carry the little backpack. They have their lunch over there, and meanwhile they're jogging, they take a couple of spoons and he keep going. Right? Just because he wants more trip, or because he probably wants to be done earlier or something, right? They just go on. They do not stop. Right? Even when they need baños, right? 1 or 2. They just go really quick, use the banana leaf, and keep going over there, right? Yeah, keep just, right? But it's hard because look at the weather conditions that we have. It gets muddy, they're using rubber boots. They even sometimes cut down the rubber boots to make it look like shoes, to be better running, right? It's easier to run with that, you know. So with that, yeah, so they cut it there, so they're very short, and they're better to get running faster there. Right? Yeah. So my dad used to do that. I tried it when I used to be around 9 years or so. It took me like 10 minutes to hook one banana. Right? Yeah. They make it look so easy. Sometimes the rail, it is too high up. They have little ramps, right? And they go with the banana, and they just go up that high. It's like 3-4 feet high sometimes to reach the cable, right? And they just 5-10 seconds, boom, 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 and they go for the next one, right? When I did that, it took me like 10 minutes, and you feel like you're falling there. You know, your balance is not too good, right? And then, of course, my dad didn't waste the time to tell me, if you do not go to school, this is what is gonna wait for you over here, right? I'm a tour guide nowadays, amigos. Tremors and earthquakes every single day due to volcanic activity. So welcome to Costa Rica. They didn't tell you that before you take the tour. Right? But well, believe it or not, this is not like a thing, like a big deal for us. Like we don't even talk too much about it. Like it's like, hey, did you feel it? No, I didn't. Like really? Yeah. And that was it. That was the conversation. Did you feel it? Just no. That was it. Right? Even myself, I probably felt like the one that I really feel it, 3 probably since I'm here in Costa Rica, right? The smooth ones though. There are of course very good records, right? Limón got the highest of the story. That was back in 1991. I didn't feel that one. Well, kind of, because I was a mommy belly already. It was shaky already, so I couldn't figure it out. What was it, right? The earthquake or, you know, placenta? It was actually 7.4. 7.4 back in that time. So that's why I forgot to point it out once we remember when we saw the little island and we talked about Costa Rica name. So the shore, it was quite rocky. So that's that coral reef. This coral reef emerged above the water. They went above, like from the original level towards above the water. It was like almost 6 feet above due to the earthquake back in the time. So that's why it's quite rocky. Doesn't mean if they die, because it needs to be underwater, right? So the rocks, it got to be there. So huge ditches and stuff like that happened in that time. It was not the worst in terms of people dying or having problems, right? But yes, we have others 6.2, 5.5. Like a month and a half, 2 months, we got 5, right? We always have between 1 and 3. And those ones, you don't really feel it, right? And it's because we have tremors, volcanic activities, right? So they're so powerful that they're always doing tremors. When we have earthquakes, it's between plates, Cocos y Caribes. When they have activity, there is where we get the strong activity there, right? The worst in terms of people, right? It was, oh my bad, I forgot the time. It wasn't too, let's say between 12, 15 years ago, right? I was quite young. It was closer to the mountain range epicenter called Nueva Cinchona, earthquake Nueva Cinchona, because the town that that disappeared, it was called Cinchona. So now you find a place called Nueva Cinchona, new town, right? But like around 80 people didn't make it and not even found, right? Because there was landslide and stuff like that, right? So yeah, it happens. Yeah, that was just the epicenter there. It was like 6.6 or 6 point something. It was quite strong, right? Yeah, it was quite strong. But yes, we always have 1 point, 1.3, 2 point. If it's not higher than 3, you don't feel it, right? You don't really feel it. You have to be very close to the epicenter, right? Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Oh well, before we make it, amigos, there, I want to mention a little bit about education in Costa Rica, right? Costa Rica, remember that I said that is something strong. This is due that back in 1948, Costa Rica abolished army, right? We didn't have a civil war, right? And after this civil war in Costa Rica, they decided to abolish the army. So education is mandatory and obligatory for every single kid, right? They make this decision for a better development, social development and stuff like that, right? That's why it's supposed to be even free. I like to say supposed because it's not like free 100%, right? But we don't really pay for the education till high school, right? But we do afford like the materials. Like for example, materials, that means we do pay for uniforms. We use uniforms in Costa Rica, right? This is because we don't want any social differences classes between kids, men, right? So they have a better shoes, a better brand, a better t-shirt. No, uniforms. Simple uniforms. Exactly, right? To make it simple. So kids, kindergarten has dark black shoes, dark blue pants, light t-shirt, blue t-shirt, light blue t-shirt. When he goes to school, it's just the t-shirt changed to white. Shoes and pants are the same. White is not the best for mommy. Mommy don't really like white color because humidity, sweat, brown, everything, right? Yeah, it's great. But then in high school, they have different colors of pants in high school. But then once we're in university, we're grown people, so it goes back to normal. Well, we pay for uniforms, we pay for books or pencils, and daily, stuff like boss or something, right? You can get a scholarship for pretty much even the transport, right? Did you just have to fill up papers like how much you earn and how much you this and this and this, and as soon as you don't get enough wage, they will help you out always. They will give it to you, right? Or give you a very cheap lunch, but we still afford a little bit, right? Of course, we don't pay as much as other countries do, but it's still considered as a free education, right? When we go to university, well, we do get English, Spanish, French. Nowadays, we get French and German, but the second strongest language, English. Since 1992, they established English for primary school. Nowadays, you even get it for kindergarten. Right? Still, when we talk about strongest second language, it's just around the 12% of the total population of Costa Rica, right? And we have a little over 5 million, 5,200,000 people, something like that is that we got in Costa Rica, right? That's our population. But well, even we have to pay, amigos. Let's say we can get scholarships, yes, we do, right? 100%, 120, 70%, everything, right over there. Of course, you need to afford like some protocols, like you 100% school, or you gotta join a sport, or you gotta help, some, in case, let's say you cannot afford the education, you're not the best student, but you can go, there are institutes that help you to get educated, right? But they will ask you, like, okay, we're gonna help you out, let's say maybe 30-40% or even more sometimes, but you need to do social activities, or you need to do, let's say, work or paint something, or they tell you, or participate or any sport or something like that, right? So it's like things that you can do. even if you have to pay, let's say that you have to pay, it's not that expensive compared to other countries. The thing that the economy is different, right? Economy is totally different. Of course, for Costa Ricans, it is hard, maybe not impossible. For some people, it's harder, right? But income in everywhere is different. But let's say for a preschool teacher or for a teacher for kindergarten, in bachelor, I mean, it's 4 years. That means 4 years. You can pay around, let's say, between $8 at most $10,000 total. 4 years, right? 4 years of school, right? So my actual partner, she graduated a year and a half for preschooler. That's why I know more or less. She got 20% though. That's why I say like 10,000. But we pay around $8,000. And I was like, we made it. That was expensive, right? But then I met you, and I get to know that you have crazy numbers there. Amigos, perdón, Marco, over here they're just gonna ask you for your seat pass or that card, yeah. Okay. And Jose will be there waiting for us in this entrance. Okay. Over here, Jose, it's giving us a little panoramic view, right? You can see the current actually is quite strong. It's usual that currents in the air, right? It's rare for us to see a swimming pool. When we see a swimming pool, we're like, wow, and we take pictures of that. So yeah, so most of the time it's just currents. So surfing is a thing in Atlantic side, in either Pacific. There's places where you can do surfing, and well, you can see the island at the same time. You know, these islands. You probably saw it on the way in, right? On the boat. This island, it is part of our story. So Costa Rica, you guys are at Costa Rica right now, right? Costa Rica used not to be known as Costa Rica. It was Veragua. These lands were called Veragua. Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, all these areas used to be called.
It's crazy how it goes
But
and flushes down in
just
there.
due to a guy that we know, our name changed throughout the story, right? It's a guy that he was wrong for like twice. He was wrong like twice in the whole story, which is Christopher Columbus, right? Christopher Columbus landed right there, 1501, 17 eggs, and right over there in that tree. Yeah, there's one more to the right, and there is one more in the middle.
What are they?
Oh.
Hey, you. Come on, Slowpoke.